Hey, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Don, and today's video is going to be all about whether or not you should quit your job, as well as things to consider before quitting your job. Before we get started, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And finally, be sure to watch this video until the end because that helps the channel out a lot, and it helps you out because it makes sure that you do not miss anything. So there are three perspectives that I'd like for us to take when evaluating whether or not we should resign from our jobs, and that is taking and looking at our motivation, looking at our internal motivation, also known as intrinsic, looking at our external motivation, also known as extrinsic, and looking at our selfless motivation, also known as altruistic motivation. I don't know if you all have heard of these terms before, you probably have, but they basically mean internal, external, and selfless, so outside of yourself. So beginning with the internal motivation or the intrinsic motivation, you want to examine your feelings internally. So you want to evaluate whether or not you have an internal drive to keep going when things get tough. When you look at your level of satisfaction, do you feel fulfilled in your role internally? Do you feel a greater sense of purpose? Do you feel as though you are operating in your passion, or you are making a positive difference? Do you feel good about yourself at the beginning and the end of each day? Does the pros outweigh the cons of the position? Or are you having a burning sensation inside? Do you feel discouraged leaving work each day? Do you feel demeaned? Do you feel discriminated against? Do you feel, that you are being judged inaccurately or unjustly? How do you feel when you are at work? Do you feel a sense of belonging, or do you feel like an outcast? These are all things that you should consider internally when looking at whether or not you should leave a job. Two things that I'd like to add to that is you should look at whether or not it's work that you enjoy and how important that is to you, as well as looking at your intellectual stimulation. Are you being intellectually stimulated at your job, and how important is that to you? Do you feel conflicted emotionally when you are at work? Maybe your job requires you to work outside of the home, and maybe you feel a desire to work in the home. Maybe your hours are 12-hour shifts and you want to work 8-hour shifts. Maybe you have to work nights and weekends when you prefer to work days and have your weekends and your evenings and nights off. These are all things that can impact your internal motivation. The next one is extrinsic motivation or external motivation. So these are things like the rewards. What are the external things that you're getting? So this could be looking at the impact that you're making. Do you feel satisfied as a social worker who is working in a healthcare setting and your main role may be a case management? So when you look at the external results, so you are saving the organization money when you can connect your patients to resources that does not have to come out of the hospital's pocket. But you're also saving the patient money because they don't have to take out a loan, or they don't have to go into their savings or something of that sort. You're helping them as well. So the external rewards, looking at your outcome at work, is that something that's satisfying to you? What about awards? Maybe it's important for you to receive external recognition from your employer, and maybe that may look like a bonus, receiving a yearly bonus or quarterly bonus, or perhaps you are given an award or an employee appreciation, or top employee of the month, and maybe that comes with having a particular parking spot, or if you pay for parking, maybe you get a month free or lunch paid for or something of that sort. So looking at the external rewards that comes with your work, are those things that you care about, and are those things that you're receiving, and are those things that you feel satisfied with? The last thing is going to be altruistic motivation or selfless motivation. And that is where you are looking at the impact that you have on others. Now, this is again something that is more selfless. It differs from the extrinsic one in the sense that you feel good when you are receiving external recognition. Maybe your patient tells you thank you, or your employer tells you thank you, or there's some result that is directly associated with you. You're receiving a raise, you are being compensated in your salary, things of that nature. But the altruistic motivation is going to be something like you do not benefit at all. You are not receiving any sort of accolade or recognition or anything of that sort, but it's something that is for the greater good. It's something that is for the benefit of your client or patient. It's something that you are not going to reap any benefits at all. So when I think about the altruistic motivation, for me, I really think about whether or not my client or patient is happy. I think about the impact that my services have on them, and whether or not it is making a difference. And it may not look like how I want it to look. It may not, I may never see it. They may never thank me or anything like that, but there's a sense of selflessness in knowing that this person received a scholarship, this person received admittance into their graduate program, or at least knowing that, okay, I hope this person's resume tremendously, and I know that, it is going to benefit them, although it took me an entire day and I had to sacrifice not going out with my family, something of that sort. So it's going to usually also cost you something. So maybe you're staying overtime, maybe you are missing a personal event. It's something of that sort. But again, it's selfless. It's really you looking at the greater good for that person, of knowing, okay, this is helping them, versus, oh, this is the reward that I'm getting. Other things to consider includes your desires. Do you want to try something new and the opportunity is presenting itself? Maybe you have familial considerations and maybe you're needed in the home more, or maybe you are relocating or your family's relocating and you want to stay with your family as opposed to your family being separated. And this isn't to say that families don't live separately, because families do live separately, and there are long distance families and relationships that work. These are just things to consider. So you have to look at that. You have to look at, are you commuting, and is that commute now becoming too much for you? Do you want to receive a different schedule, as I covered earlier? Are the benefits not as good as you thought that they'd be? Are you underappreciated at work? Is it constant drama? These are all things that you should take into consideration when deciding whether or not you should resign from a job. Now, I was going to include this last part in a separate video, but I think it fits here. I think a lot of people are scared about resigning from a job. They wonder how it may look from their employer to an employer. And I can tell you that no one has ever asked me why I left a job after a year or after 2 years. No one's ever asked that. Now, someone may say, what's something you're hoping to get from this job that you're not getting at your current job? That's a fair question. Or they may ask, what's something that you don't like at your job or wish was different at your job that maybe you're hoping would be different here at this potentially new job? So those are valid questions, and I think you should be prepared to answer those questions. But no one's ever said, oh, you've changed jobs a lot, you should maybe stay at your job 5 years before leaving. Now, there are benefits, and this is another thing that you should consider. How close are you to being able to be vested? So some jobs you stay for 5 years, you walk away with some sort of retirement. They match your retirement, and then you can take it with you, and it could be applied to your next retirement. If you are maybe 3 years in and you have 2 years left, then perhaps you may want to wait. It may be worth it. Versus someone who has only been there 2 years and it's 5 years, that's another 3 years. You could start over and not lose out. So I think that there are a number of things to consider, and this video is not comprehensive, but it's definitely things to think about, and I think that it just applies different approaches. And I looked at the motivational approach for this video, but there are most certainly other approaches that you can look at and consider. But I just thought that this would be a fun and relevant video, especially for those who are recent graduates, those who may be veterans, and maybe you're ready for a change, or maybe you are just getting ready to graduate and you want to know, you can maybe even look at some of these things for whether or not you should even accept a position. I think some of these are applicable. That is all for this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comment section below one time you resigned from your position and what that experience was like. The next video will be about how to resign from your position and to make sure that you are leaving on a good note, because we definitely, while some people say some bridges are worth burning, and I definitely believe in that, we should still be able to walk away with our name intact and not having lost our character or compromised our morals or ethics in any way. So we'll definitely discuss that in the next video. And finally, if you are looking to leave your job for a new opportunity, or maybe you're looking to start your own private practice of some sort, I would love to work with you. Click the link in the description box below or in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to work with you. I provide assistance with crafting your cover letter, your resume, preparing for interviews, doing mock interviews, helping you negotiate salary, benefits, other perks that you may not have thought of. So if that is something that interests you, please be sure to click the link in the description box or in the comment section and select professional development, and that is a special price that is going on probably until the end of April for a total of $50. Thanks so much for watching, and until I see you next time, be you, be great.